comes to weekly points. Like, how did you use your weekly points when you were losing weight? Hey boo, thanks so much for coming back to BREEDSTYLE. I'm Brittany. On today's video, girl, we are going to be talking about weeklies. So I got a question on my YouTube the other day saying, BREEDSTYLE, can you help me out, girl? Like, what are we supposed to do when it comes to weekly points? Like, how did you use your weekly points when you were losing weight, etc.? So as you guys know, I am 27 weeks pregnant and I'm not currently on a weight loss plan, but I'm just here to share some tips and tricks with you guys on how to lose weight on Weight Watchers Green Plan. Just because I'm pregnant does not mean that I cannot share tips and tricks with you guys. So anyway, let's go ahead and hop into it with the weekly points. So some of you guys who have been here, tried and true, you guys know how I use my weekly points whenever I was on Weight Watchers. But I looked through and I was like, oh, I never made a video on this, so let me make a video. Basically, with the weekly points, I would save up all of my weekly points. Let me be clear. Fit points and weekly points are two totally different things. Fit points are points that you receive for being active. If you have a tracker device or something like that, or like a watch that you use to do your steps and all that good stuff, you can sync that to your Weight Watchers app, and Weight Watchers will basically tell you, oh, okay, because you've been active, you have all these fit points and you can eat all this food. And in previous videos, I let you guys know that while I lost the 50 pounds that I was losing on Weight Watchers, I never used my fit points because I've always been a pretty active person. I've always tried to get my exercise in a week. And honestly, that I knew would work against me. If you use your fit points and it works for you, that's awesome. Continue to do what you're doing, whatever you're doing that's right, that's helping you lose weight. But for me, I never ever use my fit points, because if I did, girl, they'd be like, oh, you could eat like a whole cheese pizza. Because I get so many, I usually get about 20,000 steps in a day. So if I were to do that, I would not have had any success at all on Weight Watchers. I would have just eaten all my points and it would have just been a mess. But with the weekly points, I did use those. Weekly points accumulate over the course of the week if you do not eat all of your points in a week. And Weight Watchers also gives you a certain amount of weekly points at the beginning of every single week as well. I know this says 58 weeklies is what I have remaining, but when I was actually tracking on a regular basis, I would usually have about 40 weekly points in a week. This is just because I have all these weeklies this time because I haven't been really tracking. I've only been tracking for the purposes of this video. So I did want to be clear about that. So that way, if you do run over your points in a day, then they will just simply subtract from your weekly points and be like, oh, okay, you're still good. So for me, in my situation, I had 35 extra weekly points that was given to me on top of my daily points for Weight Watchers. So I never used those points. It would be 35 points at the beginning of the week that I would be given. I would stay within my 35 daily points and I would never really run over. Usually I would either come under or I really would never really run over on a daily basis. Some people choose to use their weekly points every single day. So for instance, you know, instead of the 35 points that you're given, maybe they'll take 5 points each day until all of their weekly points are used up. Again, I did not do it that way either. For me, what I would do is I would get my 35 weekly points at the beginning of the week. I would use only the allotted points for that day. So the 35 points that I'm given in a day is what I would use that day. And then on Saturday, girl, I would have what I call my legendary cheat day. And I know a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but some people had commented saying they don't like the word cheat and blah, blah, blah. Girl, I don't care. Look, listen, call it whatever you want. Girl, you can call it the man in the mood for all I care. I don't care what you call it. But for me, on Saturday, I would call it a cheat day because that would be the day where I would be like, you know what? I'm not pressed. I'm not pressed about eating no greens today, girl. I'm not pressed about eating no beans. I'm not pressed about eating no salad. I have worked hard all week. I've got my walking in every day. I've done my water. I've stayed within my points, and it is Saturday, girl. So I would use all of my weekly points that I had accumulated over the week. So if for some reason, like, I only used 30 out of the 35 that I was given in a day, then Weight Watchers would give me a point value towards my weekly to say, okay, girl, well, you got a few extra weekly points. So then on Saturday, what I would do is I would go to McDonald's or Burger King. This is before I had this stupid wheat allergy. I would eat my legendary cheat meal or whatever. So I would usually have breakfast normally. I would get my exercise in that day. So I usually walk for about an hour. I would definitely get my water. And then at lunchtime and dinner time, depending on, you know, if I'm going on a date with my husband or whatever the case may be, I would indulge in my weekly points. Now, I did always track my weekly points for that day on Saturday. So I would put in the Big Mac, I would put in the Whopper, I would put in the sushi, I would put in the pizza or whatever it was that I had. And once my weekly points were done, they were done, girl. Let me say it again for the people in the back. Once my weekly points were done, they were done. So that's why I usually wasn't pressed to really eat weeklies for breakfast, because I'm not a breakfast person. You got to do what works for you, girl. You got to work with what you have. But for me, I like lunch and dinner. So what I would try to do is I would save my points, both the points for that day as well as the weekly points, and I would go in, girl. I would eat my M&Ms. I would have my whatever it is that I had wanted that day. And once the weekly points were gone, they were gone. But the good thing about, for me, in my body, in my situation, I'm just sharing you my experience, okay? It might be different for you. But the good thing for me was it's one day. So it's not me overeating every day. It's not me overindulging every day. It's not me eating junk every single day. It's not any of that. It's one day out the week that I can say I don't have to be pressed about eating healthy food. Do you know what I mean? I can enjoy whatever it is I want to eat on that day. And guess what your body does, girl? Your body digests all that trash. Half the time if I'm being honest, girl, it's TMI, but half the time you're running to the bathroom because your body is so used to eating healthy and drinking, water that when you eat this trash, girl, you're not going to feel good. And it almost got to a point to where I would eat the unhealthy food on Saturday and I would not feel good. I would feel so bad. My stomach would be hurting. I would have a headache. And it was kind of like a turnoff. Why am I forcing myself to eat this trash on Saturday? It got to that point. After you're down almost 50 pounds, it's okay, girl, why am I even still having this cheat day? Because it's not hitting the way it did in the beginning, But the point that I'm making is it was a day where I could really indulge and not have to worry about my diet. And that is what made Weight Watchers so sustainable for me and why I will continue to use Weight Watchers even after I have this baby. It's because for me, I can make it work for me how I wanted to make it work. And, like I said, I know people that use their points in a day. They'll instead of doing 35 points, they'll go. But for me, I like the fact that it's one day, because I find that if you overindulge every single day, for me, it would lead to a habit of just eating unhealthy food daily. And that's not what I wanted out of my Weight Watchers experience. I see some YouTubers that talk about Weight Watchers and they're so excited about all the junk food that you can eat on Weight Watchers. But for me, that's not really what I wanted. What I really wanted in my heart, girl, was to be healthy. I didn't want to be skinny. I never really wanted to be skinny. It's not about that. I want to be healthy. I want to live long for my daughter. I want to be around for my daughter. I want to have good blood pressure. I want to have good labs. It's not just about the weight on the scale. It's about the way that you feel every day. I want to have energy. I don't want to be eating trash every day. One day to indulge and then get back on track, then that you feel more in control too. And as someone, as I have shared in a previous video with you guys before, as someone who has experienced somewhat of a disordered eating pattern where, I would restrict, and then eat. I didn't want to go back into that with Weight Watchers. I just wanted to be able to have control over my health, control over my diet, lose the weight in the process, and be healthy. And so that's why I use my points the way that I use my points. And I encourage you to find a system that works for you. But I did want to answer this question in a formal video so I can have it in my Weight Watchers playlist. I have over 45 Weight Watchers videos for you guys. Give me a thumbs up just for that. I'm just saying, girl, can I get a round of applause? 45 videos in Weight Watchers just for you guys on the playlist. So go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. If you made it to the end of the video, please give me a heart to help the YouTube algorithm. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the comment section below. I might just make a video about your question next. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.